We just
Mhm.
got to tap into it, the knowledge of the creator, because I like to say we are all particles of God, right? Godicles, I call. So we're all godicles. We all have that knowledge of the infinite source, whatever you want to call, universe, creator, spirit, God. We have that knowledge. So you just got to tap into it. So it's like, has some mysticism into the book, some plant medicine, and everything was done holistically, no medication. I was like completely unplugged from pharmaceutical company because that is a path that you can fall into it, and it's not good. And so one of the things on the book that I try to teach people is to stay away from, and now it's not for everybody, okay? So this is, some people may need medication to help them through a very difficult time, but I was on medication, and it was not the answer for me. So pharmaceuticals, I think, are an evil in this country. Um, they don't cure anything, they just mask the symptoms. So yeah, just trying to, but there's so many
I
in.
mean, look at the lions that are raised by humans. They hug humans. They aren't ferocious. So
Uh-huh.
I think it's all about programming. So when you're brought into the world, are you brought in with love? Are you brought in with a degree of love? Or are you brought in with lack of love?
Hmm.
And the only thing I can say that's really great about having parenthood late in life is you have some maturity and some perspective on how valuable those differences are. I mean, it was a if I had been a dad at 20, I probably would have been not like your dad, but I would have said punishment is with the hand.
Hmm.
When I was 50, I said no way. I'll never touch the hand to connect it with a punishment. Never. I won't.
So it's funny that you say that. And my dad was 19 when I was born, and my mom was 18.
I'm just going to make sure we get that. Okay. So, Karina Curry, welcome to Dr. Smiley Show. Just making sure we get everything on recording. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day to you.
So we have had a show that has 4 reschedules shows a lot about the character. Like, do they have patience? Do they have love? Because and determination and persistence. I watched Founders with my son for my second time, his first time, and he said there's only one thing in the world that wins, and it's persistence. So we met at an event. It was Craig Duswalt's among Hero and other things, and so our journey was that today was the day we're supposed to have at least our first on-air conversation.
Well, persistence beats resistance. So
It does. It does. So you have a book, Awakening, and thank you for putting Ken in the middle of that. I was honored to have that. So how's your year going so far, 2025?
how my 2025, it's going good. It's going really good. Yes, I can complain. I'm very grateful for everything that happens in my life because I take everything as a lesson. So when things are not as good, I just try to surrender to the universe and see what is the lesson here. So everything that happens to me is just, I just offer gratitude. But it's actually been really good.
Good. Well, I'm going to get vulnerable with you
Okay.
because it's Valentine's, and I will say that this is a little higher level of vulnerability than I would normally do on a show. I mean, we are human, and we do want to protect our ego, and we do want to protect how people judge us. But on Valentine's of all days, I have sent Happy Valentine's to people that I don't always think appreciate me. And it's funny, but to do something that is like the giving out the peace leaf. I mean, saying that love is actually not just the answer, but that you embrace it regardless of what is happening in life. So for me, a little lesson I'm getting is that the bigger you play in life, the more people love you and unfortunately don't like you at all.
But the main thing is to love yourself, right?
Amen. Man, you're bringing that love thing right around again.
So
You
when you love yourself, you would give love freely because it doesn't matter if they reciprocate. You know what you have to offer. You know the love you have. So that's the most important thing is to love yourself. Self-love is the hardest thing to conquer, but it's a journey, it's a never-ending journey, right? And when people don't give me the love that I want, or that I try not to have expectation, but like you're talking about the ego and we're humans, right? I know I am a eternal soul living a human experience. So when people don't give me, and even though I try to let go of expectations, you always kind of fall into the trap. I always try to think, okay, what's in me? I always try to look at myself, take responsibility for that. What is in me that it's causing that? So I never blame that other person. I never expect them to give. And I know that I can give. So I'm going to continue to give. And even if it's not reciprocated or, understood, sometimes I'm from Brazil. So I'm a loving human being. I'm a hugger, I'm a kisser. And sometimes people don't understand that, but I'm not going to change that because people don't understand me. I'm going to continue to give.
I love that point you just brought up. And that's a little, it's not just a little, it's all alignment of what I handed you a key smiling card because I saw your energy. And I remember you were wearing a yellow dress on a yacht
Uh-huh.
in the Keys, Florida Keys. And I said, I'm going to get this picture of this woman who exudes so much beauty first, but also just inner beauty. Like your energy is like through the roof. And this actually reminds me at times, like, who am I being? Who am I being in the moment that I'm causing smiles or that I'm loving myself to love others? And you are right. When someone is having a breakdown with you and they're honest and they say, I'm sorry, it's me, I'm having the worst day, you all of a sudden give tons of love back or empathy that you can understand what that would feel like,
Yes.
and everything's healed. And so you're right. Every single time you're having a good day or a bad day, you're actually causing it.
Yeah. And I made some experiments myself. You talk about doing experiments. I did some experiment myself on the plane. And when I'm like, I try to look at everybody that comes in and smile
Yeah,
and see. And don't you know that since I started doing that, I have never had a problem with anybody being upset at me or anything, because once you give that smile, you give that energy, things switch. A person can be upset about whatever, but because you smile and you offer that good morning, good evening, welcome, like that gesture of goodness, it changes their mindset. And it's not like a conscious thing. It's almost like unconscious for them.
100%. I,
So,
I I'm going to try and get in trouble on the show, and I don't always try and do all these things. I get so vulnerable and so much in trouble. But remember that company Pan Am?
mhm.
When I was doing my dissertation work on smiles, there's something called a fake smile, where
Really?
yeah, so the smile is here, but it's not here.
Uh-huh.
So the smile here is that you have to smile and you feel
Uh-huh.
obligated to smile, but you're not really genuinely smiling. And it's just interesting. The nickname for it is called the Pan Am smile.
Oh, really? Because the flight attendants just
Yeah.
smile.
They had to smile, but they weren't giving love or
Yeah.
happiness.
No,
Or
my smile is like, oh.
no, I can tell. I can tell. Well, I mean, that's why you're on the show. You do know, out of the amount of people I've met over 15 years of events, I'm picking 365 people that we do this part here, but then it goes to social, it goes to YouTube, but then ultimately it goes into a book of 365 people you want to follow that are shaping the world better. So
Mhm.
that's why I give you more accolades, because had you not seen the end game is that it's about you were chosen and that
Yeah.
you are doing great things, obviously it would be disruptive if you said, I might be chosen, but I'm not dealing with this stuff. Well, that's a totally different conversation.
Wow. Well, I am honored. Thank you very much. I mean, I like to think that I am at least trying to change the world just by offering kindness and compassion. And, people ask me about my book and they're like, what are you doing with your book? And I'm like, I
May I
want
cut to the book while you talk to it? May I cut to it on the? I'm gonna
yeah.
no, I'm gonna go on Amazon, and I want you to continue talking, please.
Okay. So, I always felt like it was like not to make money. It was to offer, hope to people that are going through the struggles that I went through. And it was not to ever put myself, this is the second book.
Okay,
And this one is a little different. This one is about how we're living in an individualistic society, and we really need to be in a more collective mode of helping each other and loving each other, right? And this one is about my journey through depression. And this one was to bring awareness to people that there's always hope and there's always a way out of depression and bad situations, and you can overcome anything. So, but it was always about bringing hope to people, and it was never about, I mean, talk about becoming vulnerable, right? Because I wrote everything about my story,
Mhm.
parts that were not very flattering, but I wanted people to know that we all go through hard times. We all hit bottom, and there's hope, and there's people there. They want to help. I want to help, you know.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to cut in if it's okay.
yeah.
There's an equation I think that God puts in everything. So hopeless, not love, not feeling happy, not feeling you're feeling you're depressed, you're feeling pressed down, and
Mhm.
hopeful, you're feeling lifted, you're feeling that there's love, that there is a reason to live, that you're going to play big. And because I'm Dr. Smiley, I just want to say this one has a very low calibration of smiles. Like your SPH, your smiles per hour would be very low. It might be one if you're lucky for the day, or maybe a couple. Whereas this could be you're emitting, I don't know, one a minute. You could be. And
Mhm.
so I'd like to go deep in that book with not my premise, but my point is I think I understand where you're going with this is it's a shift and a choice. And so would you please help those that are either one depressed, know someone who's depressed, and or need your book and what they would get out of the book?
Well, they were getting the steps that I took to get off medication, and all the things that I did to help myself. So they would get a lot of insight. It's like a how-to book,
Can
you
you
know.
get a little more specific? So, as much as you want to get specific, I don't want to give away the whole book that you said. Someone says, "Well, I guess I don't need to read the book right now." So that's not the point. The point is, can you be specific enough to say how bad it was and what one or two steps were that got you in another direction?
It was bad enough that I didn't feel like I deserved to live. Um, and so, very hopeless.
Hmm.
And the things that helped me was actually reaching out to loved ones for help, and realizing that I didn't have all the answers, right? So I needed help, and accepting the help, even though you might not think that's the right help at the time, but accepting help and taking steps, like doing the work, because you can't sit around. You can't, like, when you're depressed, you're most likely you're in victim mode, right? The world is doing this to me, this is happening to me. So find ways to get out of victim mode. So you have to do the work. You have to do the things that would take you out of there. So it can be, so I started holistic therapy. I started meditating. I started reading a lot of self-help books, and then through some shamans to help me get off the medication, with plant medicine, the
Mhm.
help of plant medicine. And so, yeah, it was very deep, and it took a long time. It was not something that happens right away. And so I also like to tell people not to give up,
Right.
because you're not going to feel good the next week or the next month. It might take some time, but not to give up on the process, whatever the process is. And choose, and start trusting what your instincts are telling you, because we always know, we have the knowledge inside of us. We just
Mhm.
got to tap into it, the knowledge of the creator, because I like to say we are all particles of God, right? Godicles, I call. So we're all Godicles. We all have that knowledge of the infinite source, whatever you want to call, universe, creator, spirit, God. We have that knowledge, so you just got to tap into it. So it's like, has some mysticism into the book, some plant medicine, and everything was done holistically, no medication. I was like completely unplugged from pharmaceutical company, because that is a path that you can fall into it, and it's not good. And so one of the things on the book that I try to teach people is to stay away and now it's not for everybody, okay? So this is, some people may need medication to help them through a very difficult time, but I was on medication and it was not the answer for me. So pharmaceuticals, I think, are an evil in this country. Um, they don't cure anything, they just mask the symptoms. So yeah, just trying to, but there's so many insights in there, so many things that you can do. Start small, take little steps, because there's actually a scientific study that says if you take a huge step, you're most likely going to go backwards. So small steps, every day, getting up, getting yourself out of bed, doing things, going outside, enjoying the sun. Gratitude is a huge factor on the help with depression. When you learn to have gratitude, you
Big
stop
deal.
thinking about the things that you don't feel that are good in your life, So you just got to start looking for the little things. I tell people just start with three things a day, three reasons why you're grateful. And it can be for being able to afford food today, or be able to silly things like have hair in your head.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I just had to throw in
By the
that
way,
in.
you're not going to be on my bald bold book for that reason. For that one. So I want to go. I want to go. So a heart, the way we picture it as the lovely this and three dimensional, it's got an external piece that grows and big because of what's inside that makes it grow big, right?
Mhm.
So everything you said, the first one, we went another layer. I'd like to go one more layer, which I'm sure is pretty much in your book, but the layer is there anything in your childhood that happened, or is there anything you can point to why you got depressed?
Oh yeah, tons of things. Tons of things
We'll get
happen.
one or two.
Uh, a
Well,
lot of, I
let me
mean,
tell you
like,
what I'm saying. I'm saying point to one or two that had you go, I need help. I'm going to get her medication. Like that's the kind of what I'm going with.
so there was some trauma, my parents were products of their environment. They didn't know what they're, I mean, I'm not blaming anybody, okay? They did what they know how to do it. And with the amount of knowledge they did the best they thought they could.
Right.
But there was if if it was today, I'm 50 years old. If it was today, my dad probably be in jail for child abuse, you know,
Yeah, I
because
got you. I got you. So that harsh treatment and not feeling loved caused you to feel later very depressed. Okay.
yeah, because you go through once you have the most important people in your life are your parents. The ones that are teaching you everything. That's everywhere, right? Your parents are the ones that are showing you the way. So when you don't feel loved, accepted, recognized by your parents, it's gonna be a lifetime of until you discover that this is the issue, a lifetime of codependency issues
Mhm.
and trust issues and all kinds of things that you're gonna have to deal with, So like that's what like listen, there is a study that showed that 90% of serial killers are men, and they are most of them have mother issues. That's how important a mother or father is in a child's life
Right.
because they were abusive or promiscuous or all kinds of things that cause that kid to, do horrific things in their life and not feel guilt about it. So that's how important it is, a parent is in a child's life.
Yeah, what a pendulum swing. Like it's disrespecting love and life when you
Mhm.
don't have what you needed as a and that's why parenthood is so important. And I am obviously a huge advocate. I carry my son wherever I go in one way or another. So what's your big plans for 2025? How are you playing big this year? And I'll have another part to that. Go ahead.
So this year I plan on going deep on my spiritual path. So I have three. So I also work on as a coach in spiritual retreats to help people who are dealing with depression and anxiety and all kinds of things. Uh, So I'm working several of those. So that's my
You have
ideal
one
right
that's
now.
coming up.
Uh,
You have one that's coming up.
I have one that's coming up, yes, in April in Denver, Colorado. And then I'm doing several retreats myself to work on my own healing because the healing journey is never over. It's like layers, like peeling an onion. You take one layer and then it's like, oh, I didn't know. I thought I dealt with this already. Why is it showing up again? And it's showing the form of triggers and all kinds of things, even though I'm like a totally different person than I was 10 years ago. I still like have things that I need to work through. So I'm really working on my healing path this year.
I will say that congratulations on continuing working on it, but I think it's the life mastery. People that are happy but aren't living a purpose and don't know why they're on this planet could technically be worse off than someone that is in a healing journey that's actually trying to master life or joy.
Hmm.
So the point is, congratulations. It's what are you doing to make a stand for yourself showing up? What are you doing to make a stand that you actually love yourself? When you go to bed, you say, I can't wait to get up and do it again. I mean, that's a journey. And I don't care whether you're in the healing mode or in the I'm trying to find my purpose mode.
Hmm.
It's the same in that you have to continue to see how can I get bigger and better.
Yeah. Now, do you think that? So I was listening to this podcast about I can never say this, existentialism.
Existential.
Yes, that. I can never say that word. And it's,
And by the way, you're not usually allowed to use words that are more than two syllables in this show, but okay. I mean, that's why it's called Smiley. I would have said Smiley Rifrick or something.
yeah, and it was talking about, it was giving an example of a lion is born a lion is always going to be a lion, right?
Mhm.
But a person, it's born and it's nothing. But that's the greatest thing because it can make you into something. And it can be whatever you want. You can be whatever you want.
Well, I have a theory about that lion too.
Okay.
My theory about the lion is a lion raised by a giraffe versus a hippo versus, I mean, a human. I mean, look at the lions that are raised by humans. They hug humans. They aren't ferocious. So
Uh-huh.
I think it's all about programming. So when you're brought into the world, are you brought in with love? Are you brought in with a degree of love? Or are you brought in with lack of love?
Hmm.
And the only thing I can say that's really great about having parenthood late in life is you have some maturity and some perspective on how valuable those differences are. I mean, it was a if I had been a dad at 20, I probably would have been not like your dad, but I would have said punishment is with the hand.
Hmm.
When I was 50, I said no way. I'll never touch the hand to connect it with a punishment. Never. I won't.
So it's funny that you say that. And my dad was 19 when I was born, and my mom was 18. But I remember in one of my spiritual retreats that something came up about an incident, my dad hitting me really hard, and it came up in several things that I did. Like I did regression, I did all kinds of things, right? I tried so many things, so many healing modalities, and I remember in that journey seeing my dad as like a kid, a 19-year-old boy who didn't know anything about life, only know that he was himself hit by his father, abused by his father. And he was scared. He was scared because he was now responsible for a family and for kids and for everything. And it made me see him in a different light. And that's why I tell you, there's no blame here,
Right.
you know. But I really do believe that everything that happened to me made me the person I am today.
I
And
was
that,
just I was about
yeah,
to because you can't if you're helping people that have distress and are really feeling powerless and you're helping them. Every single person I've ever asked who's helping them, they said no, I had to get through it too.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, so I saw him as a scared little boy, 19, because I see my son, I have a 22-year-old son, and
Right.
he's to me, he's still a boy. He doesn't know anything about life. And it brings me back to another point because we both love our children. I know you love your son so much, and I love my children so much. And I think because I was raised that way, and I felt like, oh, late earlier on, I thought, oh, if things were different, maybe I wouldn't have gone through all this trouble. I don't feel that way anymore. But I remember talking to this holistic therapist, and she said, because I was talking about my daughter, that sometimes I feel like I see a lot of myself in her at her age, like some code.
How old is she?
She's 20. Some like relationship issues, a little bit of codependency. I mean, she's light. I was extreme, but she said, "Yeah, but you had to go through that to become the person you are. And if she doesn't, then she's not going to become the person she's supposed to become because life, if you don't go through hardships in life, you really don't evolve." And so it made me
Way you
think,
don't live. And in a way you don't live.
exactly. So yes, I talk to my daughter. I would never treat my children like that, but I also know that I have to let them live their journey because
Hmm.
it's their journey.
Right.
And it's the hardest thing for a parent to just watch your kids make mistakes and just go, "Oh, they have to go through this because, or suffer or anything like that for heartbreak or whatever it is." Of course, if there's something that would hurt themselves, I would, you know, talk, be more hands-on, but I have to let them go through that and just watch. And it's the hardest thing.
Yes, I can imagine. And yet I don't have it yet, but I watch in fear at times myself. So I want to acknowledge. So you're one of the biggest advocates of Valentine's in the world. Out of 8 billion people, you're one of the biggest. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to do something I would want to do on
Okay.
Valentine's. You can wish your son, your daughter, whoever, and just say Happy Valentine's and say their name. I would like to give you that gift because I think it's an important gift. So go ahead.
I wish Jake Hargrove and Emma Hargrove a happy Valentine's.
Karina, I hope you have a happy Valentine's, but more importantly, a happy Valentine's weekend. I want it to continue. You know why? Because Ken has Ken in it, just like away Ken Neen has Ken in it. So that's for you.
I love how you always like.
So I'm convinced that this is one of a couple conversations. So we're going to wish each other a happy Valentine's. This is a
Happy
teaser.
Valentine's.
There's teasers of how to have a happier life because we're both on the same journey. Technically, my
Mhm.
journey is to awaken more smiles. Yours is to bring them into play again.
Me is to awaken people to whatever they've been awakened to. It's their higher self, their happier self, their more less individualistic self.
Yes, yes, yeah. So this could be another conversation. I would love to have you on my show again.
Yes, I
You
love
have a
that.
great spirit, and the vulnerability is the part where people say, "Okay, she knows what she's talking about. I can listen." Because when you haven't come from anywhere, it's really hard to actually help people. That's the key part too.
It's kind of like when you talk to a therapist about your children, but she doesn't have any children, right? Like, how can you know what's like? Because it's a love that you don't understand. You don't feel for anybody else, but your
Yeah,
children.
you're making me laugh right now because the biggest mistake I ever made, and it was not intentional, and I'm not trying to throw anyone on the bus. There's no names being divulged here, but I spent $25,000 on a big trip, obviously a very big trip. It was 22 countries in Europe, and the person didn't had never traveled, and I didn't know that. And so I did this travel agent. I had the travel agent handle everything, and there was a passport issue because they didn't check a passport. I needed a passport. All right, and so it canceled the whole trip because it was the first part of the trip.
Oh no.
And because I was so sure I was going, no insurance, baby. So I lost the whole cake. There was no way to resolve how it could be done because we found out like a day before that
Oh,
it was. So I just want to say that was easy after I asked the question. Like I should have asked the question first. Have you ever traveled these countries before? Have you traveled? If you haven't, then I need another travel agent, or you need to tell me why I would hire you because you don't have the
exactly.
experience. And here's one for you. And then I'd like to go back to 5 questions I'm going to ask you that are very quick questions. Okay, like I ask them as quick, you answer them as quick, and just see how quick we can go, just to give the audience some more value. So it's hard to work in any type of occupation with people that don't have faith because they won't stay in the game to have you provide the service and the value. So it's funny. The only couple of times I've ever done work that I said, "Wow, this is really harder," was people that admitted after they'd done the contract and everything that they just don't have faith. And there's another word for it. I won't go there, but the point is they were too connected to it has to be instead of what it could be.
Hmm.
So, the 5 questions I have for you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Book that changed your life besides your own.
Don Miguel Ruiz, the
4 agreements.
Four Agreements. Thank you. Just had a
Oh, I was going to say 5 because I think awakening should be a fifth one. All right. A movie that inspires you.
Seabiscuit.
Your favorite love movie.
Uh, the the Love Diary. Is that is that the name of the book? I think the diary or the Love Diary.
Okay, we'll find out. We'll see if we can find the link and put it in there. I guess we have to watch it. Okay. um, what is a song that gets you going?
Um, well, Elba Ramalho is a Brazilian songwriter. She's no longer with us, but her music gets me going, and she has a lot of good samba music, So
So
several of her,
when we put the show up, you'll put a little link so people can enjoy it.
yeah.
Who's your hero?
Jane Goodall.
Okay. And what quote do you live by?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Amen.
Yoda.
Yes, I know. Oh, I know it's Yoda. I know it's Yoda, baby. So, Karina, I just want to say what a blessing it is that we met, to know that you were in my periphery, that when we went to Craig Dustwalt's event, I said, wow, frequency, it shows up when you show up, right? And
Mhm.
you showed me your book, you gave it to me. So thank you for that. And this is not the last, but one of hopefully several shows, because I think we have a bigger conversation to have.
Thank you.
Happy
I really
Valentine.
appreciate your having patience with our schedules, and so it's been really actually fun. I loved it.
Well,
I
thank you.
always get nervous to be like a host in shows, because you never know what the questions are going to be like, and but this is actually was really fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to say a little secret that I have with regard to persistence. Commitment matches persistence. So I was committed to having you on my show as long as you were willing to volley the unnecessary and technical and all this stupid stuff that happened. But and just for the record, audience, I want to let you know that Calendly caused me some real technical mysteries, like who's showing up and who's not showing up. And it was really crazy. And
Uh-huh.
unless you talk to my assistant, you would say, "Oh, he's just making this up." No, she was going crazy too. She was like, "I don't know what to do." And so we contacted them, and they seemed to have solved the problem. But you need someone that says, "I understand that this is not working. It's just not supposed to work yet." And the yet is the magic word, yet. Because I love when I ask someone, are they an author? Smart people say, not yet, not
Mhm.
yes or no.
Exactly.
All
Because
right.
yeah.
Well, I had fun too. You have the you could be the spokesperson, obviously, with your smile. I mean, you are the smile. So have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's.
Valentine's. Bye bye.